Hello, I'm Tsering Pasang, and I'm from the Global Alliance for Tibet and Persecuted Minorities. We are a human rights and advocacy group. Women play huge roles in any society. Today, we are going to discuss about the Tibetan women's role in the national freedom struggle movement. With me today is Tenzin Sangmo, a mother, and she lives in England. Tenzin is a nurse by profession and volunteers with the Tibetan community in Britain. She serves on the board of the Tibetan Community Council as the regional coordinator and connects with the Tibetans nationwide. In August 2020, Tenzin organized and led a 5-day peace march, Walk for Tibet, from Bristol to London, covering over 150 miles with 3 Tibetan peace walkers. She is passionate about the Tibetan freedom struggle movement and advocates for the rights of peoples who face persecutions under the Chinese rule, such as the Uyghur Muslims. So welcome Tenzin.
Tenzin,
Tenzin, please tell us in your own words about your background.
Sure. Hi, Sibasala, and Tashilek to everyone. Thank you very much for your lovely introduction. As you said, my name is Tenzin Sangmo. I used to be in teaching profession for almost 8 years, where I developed huge range of interpersonal and interprofessional skills and knowledge, managing difficult and complex behaviors, creating conducive learning environment, ensuring children or adults achieving positive psychosocial developments, and the leadership in teaching. I brought all these transferable skills and knowledge into nursing. The nature of both professions is same. It was about helping children to learn and grow healthy, and also in nursing, it's about helping and supporting patients in delivering high quality of nursing care for the positive patient experience and recovery during their hospital stay. I love my job because of the values and principles I uphold in my day-to-day life, and being a Buddhist, my job gives me opportunity to practice my religious teachings of being kind, caring, compassionate, and letting go, etc. In addition to that, I am a Tibetan, and I feel being a Tibetan, no matter where you are and what you do, I think we all have a huge responsibility, especially at this difficult time of our homeland under Chinese illegal occupation. The torture, the human rights abuses, cultural genocide, illegal persecution of innocent Tibetans, the Chinese repressive policies are still ongoing inside Tibet, which is so unbearable that Tibetans resort to self-immolations. It is a time that we must get united and show our resistance to this Chinese communist regime. I always tell my children that we have this extra responsibility to fight for the restoration of freedom in Tibet. Being a Tibetan, I feel I have to take this responsibility, and therefore I'm always trying to remain proactive in every Tibet related issues within my capacity and reach. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to discuss and share feelings and thoughts through this platform. To begin with, I want to let all the viewers know that in this conversation today, I'm not representing any community or organizations. This is my personal views and thoughts as a common Tibetan woman, sharing my views, especially on this very interesting topic, women's role in Tibetan national freedom struggle. Thank you, Sebastian.
Thank you, Tenzin, for your wonderful personal story about your past contributions and wide range of professional backgrounds, helping the Tibetan refugees, and also you are passionate about the Tibetan struggle. As you rightly said, this year, the 10th of March marks the 62nd anniversary of the Tibetan National Uprising Day that actually led to the escape of His Holiness the Dalai Lama into exile. Exactly, I think 17th of March, he decided to leave Lhasa and then came into exile and reached India on the 31st. Now, as this month is very historically important for the Tibetans in diaspora, as discussed earlier, we are going to talk about the Tibetan women's role because 12th of March, it's a very significant day in Tibetan's historical in sort of context. I just want to say this. On 12th March 1959, thousands of Tibetan women gathered on the ground of in Lhasa. It's called Dri-bu-Yul-Khai Thang. That's in front of the Potala Palace. It's the residence of the Dalai Lama. This very demonstration, called Women's Uprising Day, was the spark that initiated the Tibetan women's movement for independence, Rangzen. As we have seen and we continue to see how important and how big Tibetan women play sort of role in various fronts, including on the political level. So, as a woman activist who is very, very active, not just on political front, but also on social and community level, I would like to invite you to explain and share your perspective on how or what roles Tibetan women play in Tibetan's national freedom struggle. So over to Tenzin La.
Yes, absolutely. It's a very good, interesting question. So I feel generally every woman play important role in their family, in community, or at workplace, etc. Especially if you're a mother, you play a key part in children healthy upbringing for psychosocial developments. And also, you work very hard to manage your family in decision making, planning, financing, feeding the family, in education, and in everything the family needs. Although there is a man in the family, the father, but I feel women are very sensitive, multitasker, and intelligent in identifying the basic needs such as emotional, physical, and social needs of the children and the family, and they are very focused in achieving that, and particularly in responding to that needs. Ralph Waldo Emerson has once said, "Men are what their mothers made them." It is very true, which reflect the role of mother, a woman, and its influence on the children in general. So for the Tibetan women at the family level, we play a very important role in keeping the family happy, preserving our culture and tradition, maintaining the healthy dynamic, and playing a huge part in decision making and leadership within the family. We are more compassionate, understanding, forgiving, and cultured, partly because of the principles of our religion, which is embedded in our life, the belief in karmic cycle and cause and effect relationship, which made our life or women more accepting and resilient at the same time. Since our childhood, we learned that we lost our country in the hands of Chinese. We all have grown with the perception to stand up for your rights, never give up, speak up when we are not treated fairly, and the kind of such a mindset. So therefore, we Tibetan women never remain quiet, and also at family level, we enjoy this equal status with men. All these are, of course, because of the modern education that we received, which made this huge transformation in the women today. We may still have some potholes, but majority of the Tibetan women, when I look at each family that I know or that I've seen, women play major part in running and managing their family. So even the men are supported and encouraged by the women to achieve their rights, achieve their goals, to participate in community services or whatever they want to pursue. So we rightly say behind every successful man, there is a woman. And that is very true, how we women make a difference in our family and in our community. We can see a lot of young Tibetan women who are in the leadership roles in our community, whether be it in activism or at school in teaching field or in nursing profession or in the well-known Tibetan sweater business sector in India, which are mostly led and run and managed by the women. The inner strength, the wittiness, perseverance, and the energy of Tibetan women is somehow mind-blowing and exemplary. When we talk about Tibetan women in the past, we had lots of Tibetan women who showed bravery, courage, and had sacrificed their life for Tibet. So in one of Janet Gyatso's Women in Tibet edited collection, Gyatso explored lives of leading female figures throughout Tibetan history who became recognized for their leadership roles in arenas such as politics and spirituality, despite traditional Tibetan notion of women as low birth or Keva member. In regions such as Kham, stories existed of armed women that led tribal men into wars over tribal feud and territory. Women such as Siringdrola, Kansa Yangje Kando, and Tumbu of Upper Nyarong Gerik Chimidoma, those were very brave women who are known in their region of their bravery, especially in Kansa tribe. The female leader figure, especially if I talk about in the late 60s and 80s, when the first generation of refugees escaping Chinese invasion were trying to meet the challenges to rebuild community in exile, female leadership was embedded or embodied in the mother figure. Women from the elite families, such as His Holiness the Dalai Lama's sister and mother, fulfilled the roles of mother figures caring for the children who left orphaned from the invasion and with the harsh weather conditions, while elite men went into the international arena to secure international support and aid for the crisis of invasion and refugees. The women stayed within the refugees camp to meet the challenges of refugees on the grounds at that time. And I also want to acknowledge the NGO, Tibetan Women's Association, led by and for Tibetan women, whose initiative from welfare to include assertive leadership workshops had empowered Tibetan women to become leaders in the community. And also in 90s and in 2000s, Tibetan Women Association effort in campaigning for the right of women to take up leadership position within the diaspora, with heavy emphasis on the right of female education and professional opportunity, has made a great impact in the women today, and also has made a great contribution to the freedom struggle. Although women are still underrepresented in the governing body, there are currently emerging more female representatives in the Tibetan parliamentarian section and other sub-offices and departments from the diverse background. So in the contemporary exiled Tibetan community nowadays, we can see women achieve professionalism through education and aspire towards leadership by using those learned professional skills to serve the Tibetan society by engaging in communal empowerment or politicizing Tibet. We can see a number of Tibetan women taking leadership roles in politics, in education, or in activism, and also as a political prisoners. So this is what I can say.
Okay, Tenzin Samola, thank you very much. That is very, very interesting and comprehensive about the women's Tibetan women's role in our society, and I know my mother and my wife, how much they contribute, and I think you have just encapsulated what our great Tibetan women, mothers and wives, sisters, do for our society. So thank you very much. Now I want to ask you a, a question. Actually, I would like you to speak a little bit more about, the Tibetan Women's Uprising Day in Lhasa, the 12th of March. So over to you.
Sure. So March 12th, tomorrow is 12th March also, is observed as a Tibetan Women's Uprising Day, and it is historically a significant moment in Tibetan freedom struggle. A day after Tibetan National Uprising Day in 1959, thousands of Tibetan women gathered on the ground called Dri-bu-Yul-Khai Thang, which you have mentioned in your introductory, in front of Potala Palace in Lhasa. This demonstration in 1959, which is now we call as Tibetan Women's Uprising Day, was considered as a spark that initiated the Tibetan women's movement for independence. 1959 was a very critical year, and Tibetan women showed a deep sense of patriotism and unwavering courage, which ultimately led to the organized struggle of freedom. The movement was initiated and led by brave women called Pao Kunsang and joined by Geling Shachela, Pekon Pembatoma, Tao Santoka, Demochimi, Tsongkha Meme, Kukar Sharkel Sang Rizur Yangchen, and Tsongkha Tsamla. At that time, they passed a resolution which states Chinese should go back to China. Tibetans are the rightful owner of Tibet. The Tibetan women will continue with their struggle until the Chinese stop interfering in Tibetan affairs. So, enormous processions were carried out in the street of Lhasa, and memoranda telling China not to meddle in Tibetan affairs were handed to the Chinese authorities. Representations requests for support were submitted to the consulates of India, Nepal, and Bhutan in Lhasa at that time. A similar appeal was also made to the leaders of the Muslim community in Lhasa. Chinese authorities at that time responded by resorting to brutal force and arrested the leaders of the movement and many other innocent Tibetan women. They were sentenced to indefinite prison terms, and many of them were mercilessly beaten to death. But these repressive measures did not dampen the courage and determination of those Tibetan women. So if I can say a few words on top of it, 10 years later in 1969, during the period of Cultural Revolution, Pamukusa again led her prison inmates in protest against China. As a result, she and a number of Tibetan women activists were brutally tortured and executed. The execution took place near Sera Monastery. The women were made to kneel before their graves. Their heads were shaven clean, and they looked so bruised and emaciated that people could hardly recognize them. To terrorize them further, Chinese soldiers opened fire all around them. However, those brave women refused to submit or bow down to these Chinese authorities. And also now, in relation to this event, we all know about Ama Ade, who passed away in Dharamsala India on Monday, August 3rd, 2020, who had spent 27 years in Chinese prison for taking part in Tibetan resistance against the Chinese occupation in late 1950s. Ade Tabinsa was one of the longest-serving Tibetan political prisoners and a tough freedom fighter. So tomorrow, we all know that we are commemorating 12th March as an Tibetan Women Uprising Day. And on behalf of all the Tibetan brothers and sisters, I pay tribute, respect, honor the bravery, courage, valor of Tibetan women of those times who sacrificed their life for the Tibetan freedom movement. Their martyrdom in the Tibetan political history will always be remembered.
Oh, Tensala, that's amazing. A wonderful tribute as well. Certainly, Amade, Anipachen, they've gone through so much under the Chinese oppression and endured tortures and so on inside Tibet. And after coming into exile, they still did not rest. They continued and they traveled around the world and advocate and for Tibetan cause. And some of these are great, what do you call it, Rangzan advocates, independence for Tibet. So I think it is very appropriate that, on the eve of the 62nd anniversary of the Tibetan National Uprising Day, we just have this virtual discussion on the sort of women's role in our society, in Tibetan society, and especially, their role on the political front as well. So thank you very much. And before we end this session, if you would like to add anything else, I'll give you the platform. Over to you.
Well, thank you, Vasala. Through this medium, I would like to share a few areas that need development as a community. So, first one, I want to talk about women in leadership. Uh, we do have women taking leadership roles, but more work needs to be done in this area to empower women to take higher positions at government level. And another thing is the need of change in social outlook, especially nowadays. It is the digital world, and social media plays important role in information sharing, idea exchanging, and networking. So much of toxic negativities and character assassination of individuals must be avoided. It is not healthy for those emerging young brains, proactive activists or leaders. Endangering people's personal lives is threat, making it as a fear zone hampers the development of confidence, creativities, and shuts people's motivations. So utilization of social media platform in positive ways to bring positive changes in oneself, others, and for the community is crucial. And another thing is the importance of observing significant events, National Uprising Day, with your children. It's important to give these essential historical experiential learning experiences to our children. For example, to observe 10th March, yesterday, that was yesterday, I've asked my husband before to take time off from job and also inform the schools about my children learning at home or participation on 10th March event, which they hugely respected and respect with understanding and acknowledge my request. I feel as a mother and as a woman, we can play a very important role in our family, for children, and for our community to cement and to strengthen and in shaping our future freedom struggle. And lastly, I also would like to give this message to our women about empowering each other. Women helping women is a must thing. Women should never underestimate the potential of other women. Every woman are capable to achieve wonders in life. You just need support, the willpower, and believe in yourself. With that line, I wish to conclude today's session here by saying a quote from Nancy Pelosi: "Country was built by strong women, and we will continue to break down walls and defy fear." For our Tibetan women, I want to say we will continue to make difference in our community and in our freedom struggle or movement. Let's never give up, and time to play our part as Gelo and Free Tibet. And thank you very much.
That's amazing, Tenzin. There's your thoughts in addition to the roles that women had played on the political front. I think it's very, very touching as a mother sharing your thoughts, how you um, living in Western society, taking leave for your children and educate them on anything related to Tibetan aspects, including taking part in this annual uh, commemorative sort of event. I think this is wonderful when you said that the school authorities, uh, giving you permission with respect and understanding the culture. I think that shows the multiculturalism in this great nation. So I applaud you, and I'm sure many other parents, whether they're living in the UK or elsewhere, I think this is something we can adopt and pass on our legacy to our children. So thank you very much for sharing this. Um, and we would definitely love to invite you again on this show because we have other plans in the future to discuss with women from Uyghur Muslims community, Southern Mongolia, and so on. So how do they play their roles? Women in their respective culture, play a role to uplift the the society, even on the political front. So this is very, very interesting, and I think this on the eve of the Tibetan National Women's Uprising Day, the 62nd National Uprising Day. I think this is a very, very interesting discussion, and I thank you for your time and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you very much, Tibasala, and also Global Alliance for Tibet and Persecuted Minorities, the virtual platform, for having me today. And if I can say so, today is World Kidney Day. So, as a nurse, I want to say eating healthy diet, monitoring your blood pressure, avoid drinking too much of alcohol, and quitting smoking, and also watching your weight will help keep your kidney healthy. And also for more information, the health tips, if you're in UK, you can go to NHS twice to get more information. And those who are outside, you can follow the website, follow the health tips on how you can keep a kidney healthy benefits. Thank you very much.
Oh, that is amazing. I think bonus, as a nurse, giving another tips. So thank you ever so much. Thank you. And have a lovely day.
And you too. Thanks.